37, 38, 39, 40. Oh, hello. Welcome to my monthly Alpha 40 deck tech and discussion video where I discuss the deck that I played in the monthly online league for the previous month. That would be April 2025. And I'll make some changes to this deck for the month of May 2025 and then report back at the end of the month and let you know how it did. So last month, if you recall, I ran a red-green channel fireball deck and I added a couple more Berserks to this deck. And then somebody kindly pointed out that Berserk is no longer moderated on the rules deck building list. I'll put that link to the deck construction rules in the description below if you want to build your own Alpha 40 deck and play online with us. It is no longer moderated, but since it's uncommon, you can play up to 6 copies of it. That's how they played back in the day in 1993. So I need to pick up 4 more copies of Berserk. Luckily, there's a Star City Games convention in Minneapolis, Minnesota this weekend. I'm going to go and see if I can make some deals and try to get 4 copies of Berserk. It's about a $500 card. So 4 more copies of Berserk is about $2,000. I'm not sure if I want to invest that much in this Alpha 40 deck for next month. So I have some suggestions that I might make to this deck after I do the recap for you. I made it to the top 16. That was good news. The bad news is that I lost all of my matches. And so I do need to revise this deck a little bit. I played 6 basic mountains and some dual lands. I had the Plateau, Taiga, Scrubland, Tropical Island to give me red, green, white, and the blue is a decoy. Then I ran 6 basic forests for 16 total lands, plus a soul ring for an extra mana source. On the red spells, I ran 3 lightning bolts, a fireball, 2 disintegrates, a fork, a mana flare, a wheel of fortune, and some artifacts. I ran Iron Star, 3 black vices, the chaos orb that I successfully used to flip onto my opponent's creatures and enchantments. And for the green spells, I ran a channel to go with the channel fireball combo, a regrowth to try to recur some things from the graveyard, 3 Llanowar elves for creatures and mana production, 2 giant growths, and 2 berserks. However, I discovered that I would probably need to kind of hold on to the giant growths and berserks and use those as win conditions, but I just did not get enough card draw to get those cards in my hand. My first opponent was a great Canadian opponent that I played many times before. He won the first game with some crawworms. He was on a black-green deck, very similar to this. I think he had about 6 Llanowar elves and 6 berserks in his deck because he berserked me quite a few times. In the second game, I lost in hilarious fashion because he had a Llanowar elf that was attacking me, and so I cast a berserk on his Llanowar when it was attacking just so that I could remove it from the game when I was at 5 life. But then he giant growth his own Llanowar elf to make it an 8/8 trample, and I lost the match. But then I did make it to the top 16, in which I faced an opponent who was on a mono black deck, very similar to my monthly league opponent who was on the black-green deck, but the mono black deck just had so much gas in it. It had dark rituals, it had a Mox Jet, and some hypnotic specters. He won the first game by attacking with Sangir Vampire and hypnotic specters for 6 damage each turn that I had no creatures to block flying creatures with. So in the second game, he got me with some cursed lands and ultimately a pestilence and a drain life. So to make some changes to this deck, I thought I would bring in more red spells and more mountains. I'm going to go back to the basics here. I'm going to go back to basically mono red, but I'm going to splash in white for Disenchant. I don't have 16 mountains in my binder. I think I only have about 14 of them. So I need to include a plateau or some other dual land off-colored red mana source. So as long as I'm going to include a free white source, and I had such trouble last month with all the enchantments, I thought maybe I could splash white and make this a pink Vice deck, because we're going to try to get Black Vice in play early. We're going to try to make them draw cards. So I'm going to swap out my draw card. I'm going to take out the regrowth and I'm going to put in a Howling Mine instead. You can play Demonic Tutor. I thought about going black and playing Demonic Tutor. Definitely don't want to play Brain Geyser in this situation because I don't have any ways to cast double blue spells. So Howling Mine is going to be the draw card. This is my thought process of how I'm going to upgrade this deck. So we're going to take out all the green, starting with Regrowth. We're going to put in Howling Mine for draw, and then I'm going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 basic mountains. So let me take out 6 basic forests to make the swap pretty easy. So 6 basic mountains come in, taking out the 6 basic forests. Next, I'm going to take out the dual lands that I don't need for this deck. The Taiga, Savannah, and Tropical Island. We're going to take those out and put in 3 mana sources in its place. We're going to use Basalt Monolith, which is an artifact for 3 that adds 3 colorless mana to your mana pool. This gives you something to do in the turns where you have no spells to cast, but you have 3 mana available. If you've used this for 3 colorless mana, it works really great with the X spells, the Disintegrates, and the Fireballs. If you draw another land and have nothing to do, you can untap this for the next turn in hopes that you draw another X spell that you could use to burn your opponent's creatures. I think with the Howling Mine in this deck, I will also be drawing 2 cards a turn, which is helpful to maybe draw more spells faster. It's a pretty low mana curve on this deck, so you're gonna liquidate your hand pretty quickly and then just be waiting on drawing cards to do some stuff after turn 3. So Tropical Island, Taiga, Savannah, those 3 are coming out. I'm going to put in plains, 2 basic plains, and 1 Basalt Monolith. So this deck will only have 15 land sources, which is 1 less than I usually run. I'm usually at 16 lands, which is 40% of the deck. I find that's the best ratio for casting spells. However, I do have the Soul Ring over here and the Basalt Monolith, which are technically mana sources. I had no problems with mana last month because I had the Llanowar Elves in that give me green mana, and my opponent that was on the black-green Berserk deck was able to, once he got a Llanowar Elves into play, he was able to cast like 2 Llanowar Elves each turn after that with a Forest and a Llanowar Elves, casting 2 more Llanowar Elves. So he had just an army of Llanowar Elves available, and then as soon as he accumulated Giant Growths and Berserks in his hand, he could just attack with the Llanowar Elves for 8 damage every time. It was kind of crazy. So next, I'm going to take out the rest of the green spells here. I'm going to take out this Channel and rely less on the Channel Fireball combo, but I'm going to put in another Disintegrate so that I have 3 Disintegrates in this deck. And I'm also going to put in 2 more Fireballs. So I'm going to take out these 2 Giant Growths and put in 2 more Fireballs. So I'll have 3 Lightning Bolts, 3 Fireballs, and 3 Disintegrates. A lot of direct damage that can be used at players or creatures depending on what your opponent is playing. Next, I'm going to take out these 2 Berserks. I like the idea. It's the first time I'd really played with Berserk in the deck, but I do need to pick up 4 more Berserks in order to make Berserk a viable option. And by the time you're putting in 6 Berserks, you probably need 6 Llanowar Elves. So you're probably going to have to go mono green if you're going to play a Berserk deck. That's just my take on that. So I'm going to take out the 2 Berserks. I'm going to swap in 2 Disenchants. I originally had 2 Shatters in this build, but with the possible white mana, and I can just easily swap in 2 Plains instead of 2 Mountains. It makes playing Disenchant a more viable removal spell. This also gets rid of enchantments, which is super effective in case my opponent is playing Curse Land or Warp Artifact like my opponent had last time. My first opponent during the month, he was also running Ankh of Mishra, which is an artifact. This would take care of Ankh of Mishra, so I wouldn't have to use my Chaos Orb on that. So I'm going to reserve these for situational play to see if my opponent has enchantments or things like that. And since I'm only running 2 copies and only have 3 white sources, I could probably wait till later in the game. Most enchantments cost double of the color that they're playing, colorless and 2 black or something like that. So they really aren't going to get some enchantments into play until like turn 2 or 3. So you have a couple turns to get your red mana sources out first, play your red spells, play your black vices, wait for a white source, and then sit on your disenchant until you need to play that. So I'm going to play that there. And then finally, I'm going to put in the Stone Rains. So I'll take out the 3 Llanowar Elves and put in these 3 Stone Rains, which is good for land destruction. If I get the Black Vices out early and they only have 1 or 2 lands in play, I could possibly Stone Rain using a Mountain and a Soul Ring, which would prevent them from casting spells, keeping cards in their hand. If I had Howling Mine in, they're drawing 2 cards a turn. Their hand is filling up. They can't cast spells. They're going to take even more damage to the Black Vice, and the game will be over rather quickly. So this is a fairly fast deck. That is the build that I'm going to go with for the month of May. Then I'll report back at the end of the month, let you know. Again, it's 15 lands, 2 mana artifacts, a bunch of red spells, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 red spells, the 2 disenchants, and some artifacts. I'll do a quick deck tech goldfish in a second here. I do think it's possible to win on turn 3 with this deck, and I'll show you in just a second how that can happen. So we'll do a quick shuffle and then a quick goldfish for you. You can pile shuffle if you'd like. Mix it up this way. Cut into 3 piles. Randomly stack these together. You could see the middle pile on top. Then you're going to draw your 7 cards. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You would like to win the die roll, so you can go first. This is your opening 7. That's pretty good. 3 Black Vices is definitely solid. Draw your 8th card. See if you have enough lands and spells. I do have 2 lands, so I will keep this hand. I'll start first. I'm going to play a land. I'm going to play Plateau. I'm going to cast a Soul Ring, which I'll turn sideways, and I'll play 1, 2 Black Vices on turn 1. I'll pass it to my opponent. They're at 20. They're going to take 6 damage because they have 7 cards in their hand. They're at 14. They maybe play a land and maybe play a 1 mana cost spell or a creature. Then they'll pass it over to me. I'll draw a card. I drew another mountain. Let's go ahead and untap. First, I'll play another mountain. Then let's cast another Black Vice with this Plateau. So they have 3 Black Vices. I'll tap this Soul Ring for a Howling Mine, and I'll tap this mountain for an Iron Star. So my next red spell, if I get any red spells, is going to gain me life if I pay colorless mana. Now I'll pass the turn. My opponent's got 6 cards, so they're taking 2, 4, 6 off 3 Vices. From 14, they're down to 8. They maybe play another land, play another spell. So they're still at 5 cards in hand. They'll pass it to me. I'll draw a card. I got a Lightning Bolt. It's a Howling Mine, so I'll draw my second card. And I drew a Wheel of Fortune. So I'm going to play a land. I'm going to play a mountain. This is turn 3. I'm going to tap a mountain. I'm going to Lightning Bolt my opponent. They were at 8. Now they're at 5. And then I think I'm going to tap a mountain and a Soul Ring to cast a Wheel of Fortune. I could gain life. I haven't opened mana if I want to gain life, but we're just going to draw 7. Opponent's going to discard their hand. They're going to draw 7. I'm going to draw 7 new cards here. 4, 5, 6, 7. I got a ton of burn spells. I've already played a land. I could probably just tap this Plateau for a Lightning Bolt. Put them at 2 from 5. And I'll pass the turn. And with 7 cards in the hand, they're going to take some damage off the Black Vice and end the game in turn 3. So that's how quickly this deck can get out of control. If you get past the first 3 turns, and then you can start doing some direct damage. You can disenchant things if they have enchantments in play or artifacts that are causing you trouble. You can also gain life off the Iron Star if this game goes long and you need to extend your time. Just hope you don't run into a bunch of big creatures early, because you have no way of blocking them until you get your X spells out. That's the deck. It's mostly red with a little white, so I'm going to call it Pink Vice. Let me know in the comments what you think. Check the description below for deck building rules, and let me know what you would do to improve this deck, and we'll see you next month. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.